Hey there, in this video I'm going to show you how you can use the Maverick protocol. Now this is an Ethereum-based DeFi protocol, but it's also operational on a couple of different layer 2 networks, including ZK Sync, Binance Chain, and Base. So you can use Maverick on any of these 4 chains. Now Ethereum mainnet, the transaction fees there are going to be pretty expensive, so I'm going to use ZK Sync Era for the purposes of this tutorial. And also, since ZK Sync doesn't have a token yet, it makes a lot of sense to interact with this network because who knows, they might do an airdrop at some point in the future. So once you navigate to the Maverick application and connect your wallet, this is what it looks like. Now they have a swap feature, which is very simple. You choose the token that you want to swap from and the token that you want to swap to. So let's say you wanted to trade from ETH to USDC. Well, you just select the amount that you want and that's it. Very simple. So let's say I go ahead and do that, confirm this transaction in my wallet. And currently it's nice that Maverick is refunding 30 to 80% of the gas fees to encourage people to interact with the application on the ZK Sync network. So let's go ahead and complete this swap. It's going to pop up in MetaMask and we will confirm the transaction. Now it might take a few seconds to a few minutes for the transaction to be processed, but yeah, there you go. It was very quick. So that transaction is complete. And now if I open up my MetaMask wallet and go to the tokens section, I can see that I have the USDC in my wallet right here. So that is the swap feature. Very simple, very easy to use. The other main thing that you might want to use Maverick for though is to earn yield on your assets by depositing them into their liquidity pools. So what is a liquidity pool? Well, very simply, it's what enables people to actually make swaps or trades on this application, because without liquidity, there wouldn't be the ability to constantly buy and sell, and Maverick would have to match your transaction up with a specific buyer. So to get around that complication, what they use is something called liquidity pools, where people, let's say you and me, add our assets to the pool. So let's say I have now ETH and USDC. I could add liquidity to the USDC ETH pool. I would earn a yield for basically lending my assets to the protocol, and then Maverick uses those assets to balance out swaps and makes it a lot easier for people to trade crypto. So here in the pools section, we can see that there's currently $7.6 million locked in liquidity pools on Maverick protocol, and we can see the volume figures as well. So they're actually moving a decent amount of volume. Now you can deposit liquidity to pre-existing pools, or you can create your own. And the amount that you earn by depositing into a liquidity pool is going to depend on the range that you set. Now, if I'm loaning out my assets to a liquidity pool, I usually like to join a pool that has a significant amount of total value locked, or assets under management, basically. So for example, this is the largest USDC ETH pool, and it has one of the tighter ranges. So I'm going to make a deposit into this to show you how it works, because it has 1.22 million. So once you select the liquidity pool and you're comfortable with the fee and also the spread, so the wider the spread or the width here, then the larger the potential swings in the value of liquidity that you provide. So once you've selected a pool and you're comfortable with it, now this is the largest one, so it's pretty basic, pretty safe, you hit next, and then you have to select the mode. Now you can select one of their 4 automated liquidity modes, or you can create your own. But since this is a beginner tutorial, we're just going to select one of the 4 automated ones. So if you select mode right, your liquidity will automatically rebalance as the price of ETH goes up, but if the price of ETH goes down, you'll essentially be stop lossed out of the position, and it's vice versa. If you select mode left, then you're following the price of USDC relative to ETH up. And if you select both, it's going to have a dynamic range that follows the price of ETH both up and down. So I'm just going to go ahead and select mode both here, because it's going to keep the liquidity that we provide as active as possible and maximize the fees earned. Now, I understand this is a very quick basic explanation, but Maverick has a complete tutorial in depth on what the different modes are and how you can use them to your benefit, and also just so you can understand them. So if you want to dig into it, it's in their documents and it's linked on their website. And you can check it out by clicking on this button up here. But once you've selected the mode for the liquidity pool, then you hit next and you select how much you want to deposit. So I'm going to go ahead and deposit just a small amount, 5 USDC, and you always have to deposit an equal amount. So if I deposit 5 USDC, then I need to deposit $5 worth of ETH. If I deposit 10 USDC, then I need to deposit $10 worth of ETH. So I'll go ahead and just make a small deposit for the purposes of this tutorial, 5 USDC. Then we'll go ahead and confirm the transaction. So it pops up in MetaMask asking me to confirm. And again, I'll be getting a refund on most of this gas fee. So it says $1.12, but I'll get 30 to 80% of that back. So let's go ahead and confirm this transaction. And that is done. And I got 63 cents back on that. So now up here in the portfolio tab, it will show me the different positions or pools that I've added liquidity to. And it said that it will take maybe a minute or two for it to confirm and pop up here. So while we're waiting for that, let's talk briefly about boosted positions, because this is more or less the same idea, except you earn additional yield because in some cases, people incentivize participation in specific liquidity pools. So for example, one of the Ethereum liquid staking tokens that I've talked about on the channel is Swell.eth or SWEETH. And there is actually boosted liquidity pools for ETH and Swell.eth, as well as Swell.eth and USDC, because the Swell network and Maverick are trying to encourage participation in these pools. So in addition to getting the yield or the APR that you get for depositing into the liquidity pool, you're getting a bonus on top of that. Now, if you want to understand where that additional yield comes from, you can click up here and learn more. But if you want to look for boosted positions instead of just regular liquidity pools, you can check them out in this tab right here. And it's the exact same process. If you wanted to make a deposit into this pool, you can see that you go through more or less the same steps, except you're earning an additional yield on top of that for providing different assets that are, I guess I would say, more in demand, or where there's, let's say, a new protocol that's trying to incentivize adoption. So another good example actually here is USDV, which is a brand new stablecoin that was launched by Layer 0 and Stargate, and you can get an additional up to 32% APR because since it's so brand new, they're trying to incentivize adoption. Anyways, if we go back over to the portfolio tab here, we'll see our liquidity position, and over time, as we earn yield, it will show up here in the Your Earnings section. And if you wanted to manage, either add or remove liquidity, you would just hit on that button there and select what you want to do. So let's say I wanted to remove the liquidity that I provided. I would hit on the remove button and I would select how much I want to remove and then confirm the amount. And then in my wallet, it's going to pop up again asking me to confirm this withdrawal. So let's go ahead and do that. And the transaction was approved. So yeah, that's it. Very simple, easy to use. Over time, if I had held that liquidity position or if I had deposited a lot more in terms of the dollar value, the earnings would show up here in the portfolio section. Now, it's important at this point to remind people that there are risks involved with this. There is such a thing called permanent loss, where you could lose the value of your position if the liquidity of the pool gets too low on one side or the other. And in the documents here, you can read more about the specific risks that are involved with this type of crypto asset loaning. Essentially, that's what it is. You're loaning your assets to the liquidity pool. But if you select one of the larger pools that has a significant amount in total value and volume, it's relatively unlikely that something like that would happen. In addition to those risks though, of course, there's smart contract risks. So for example, if the Maverick protocol was to get hacked, then you could potentially lose the assets that you deposit in there as well. So it's important not to put too much money into protocols like this, whatever you're comfortable with losing essentially. But if you are trying to earn a yield on your assets, instead of just having them sit idle, then using liquidity pools to earn yield is one of the most basic ways that people actually would do that. Of course, you can also just use their basic swap feature and take advantage of all this liquidity if that's something you're interested in doing as well. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you found this little tutorial helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.